This show is brought to you in part by viewers like you who joined a Patreon or become YouTube members. Thank you. And if you could, hit the like button and subscribe if you want more Browns-focused content.
I hope you guys like quarterback conversations when it comes to the Browns, because I don't know if people realize just how dominated this month is going to be with quarterback, quote unquote, discourse, right? Now, discourse on the internet, it's not the greatest stuff in the world, right? But nonetheless, this month, if you're a Browns fan, is going to be full of quarterback discourse. Why is that the case? Well, one, Shador Sanders, as reported by Jay Glazer, it's what we've all been expecting, but we finally got it in words, got it confirmed from somebody whose sources that we know are in the building in Jay Glazer, right? Like his sources go back to the organization itself, that Shador is expected to get a quote unquote extended run. What I think extended run means, which is I think it's going to be at least 6 starts for Shador, probably the rest of the season, which would be 7 starts for Shador, which would actually be more than what Dillon Gabriel got, because Dillon Gabriel got 6 starts, and then in his 6th start, he got injured versus Baltimore. So we're going to get an extended look of Shador, which means all December, Shador Sanders, barring injury, will be the starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. He's going to play versus the Titans December 7th. He's going to play at Chicago December 14th. He's going to play versus the Bills December 21st. And he's going to play against the Steelers on December 28th. He's going to be the starting quarterback for those games as long as he stays healthy, including a game versus the Bengals on January 4th. So we're going to have a ton of discussion over the next 5 weeks about what we're seeing from Shador, what growth we're seeing from Shador. And look, it might not feel this way, but 5, 6, 7 weeks of watching somebody play quarterback is a lot. Now, is it enough to know what somebody's entire career is going to be? No, it's not enough for that. But it is enough to have a lot of healthy discourse and conversation about. It's a lot of tape, right? Some of that tape might lead you towards positive places. Some of that tape might lead you towards more negative conversations about Shador, but the tape is going to exist, right? The conversation about Shador for the longest had been hypothetical. What would he look like if he plays? What numbers could he put up, right? Now it's not hypothetical anymore, right? He gets the opportunity to put up numbers. He gets the opportunity to play. So that's going to be a huge part of the month of December. But there's also something else going on in the month of December. See, we've been talking about 3 quarterbacks pretty much coming out and being in the draft all year, right? Ty Simpson, Dante Moore, and Fernando Mendoza. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar, Ty Simpson plays at Alabama. Fernando Mendoza plays at Indiana. And Dante Moore plays at Oregon. And all these quarterbacks are eligible to come out this year. There are also some other guys who aren't really in that top 3 conversation that we'll be playing next week in championship week. I believe Darian Mensah somehow made the ACC championship game through like a 5-way tiebreaker. Whatever it is, I'm thankful to be able to have another game that I would want to watch on Saturday because Mensah's playing in it. But nonetheless, like he's also somebody that's not really involved at the top of the conversation, but will be playing and might have a chance to, even make the playoff, right? So I don't know if he would have a chance. I don't think that, would he be one of the 5 highest ranked? We get into that later, right? This ain't a college football show. But the main point is we've been talking about 3 quarterbacks, Mendoza, Simpson, and Moore. And unlike last year, where Cam Ward, who was at the top of the conversation when it comes to quarterbacks in that class, did not make the college football playoff. Unlike last year where Shador Sanders did not make the college football playoff, right? Where some of the key figures in the draft conversation about quarterbacks weren't in the playoff, this year is very different. Dante Moore in Oregon are very likely, almost confirmed, to make the college football playoff this year as an at-large bid. Alabama has a chance to make the college football playoff as a team. If they win the SEC, they will definitely make it. If they lose to Georgia, it's going to get tough. It's going to get tough for Alabama to make it, but they could possibly sneak in as a lower seed at the end of the game, at the end of the day. And then you also have the main figure in this conversation, right? Fernando Mendoza, who will be playing in the college football playoff, but also be playing in the Big Ten championship. And that means that the month of December is going to be full of conversations about the quarterback position. We're going to be constantly evaluating Shador Sanders. We're going to be constantly evaluating Ty Simpson and Dante Moore and, Fernando Mendoza as they go up against the most elite competition in the most high pressure games of their season. And depending on how those guys perform, the needle is either going to go up or down, right? If you get 3 great college football playoff performances from all 3 of these quarterbacks, let's say Indiana makes it to the championship game. Let's say Ty Simpson has a good 2-game run in the championship and a good SEC championship game. Let's say Oregon makes it to the semifinal, right? Behind a very strong performance from Dante Moore. If those things happen and you get strong runs out the 3 guys who have been the quarterback conversation so far this year in the draft, well, then people are going to want to draft the quarterback. And people are going to look around and say to themselves, oh, shit, there's 3 of them. We might want one of them. But then there's the question, how well is Shador playing? Is Shador playing well enough to stop you from drafting a quarterback? We're going to have that conversation in just a second, but first, let me thank my sponsor, Sleeper. Real quick, just want to let you guys know Sleeper has a new offer here. They're offering a free $20 entry, no deposit required, and also, if you're a first-time user, you also will receive a 100% match on up to $100 when you use the promo code WORSTTAKE. Again, $20 free, no deposit required. Plus, first-time users also receive 100% deposit match up to $100. Join Sleeper. So that's the big question, right? I get this question like 5 times every week. I answer the question every week, and I still get the question from the same people, right? And the question is there a way that the Browns could play their way out of quarterback or the quarterback conversation, or that Shador can play his way out of the quarterback conversation? And has Shador played his way out the quarter, or played the Browns out the quarterback conversation? Now, I got to keep a disclaimer in this conversation, right? There is a large part of the evaluation of Shador Sanders that is behind closed doors that's going to matter a lot to the Cleveland Browns that I have no access to, right? All I have access to are what Shador does in games, what Shador does in public practices, and what Shador does in preseason games. But you got to understand, that's only part of the evaluation for the Cleveland Browns. A larger part of the evaluation for the Cleveland Browns is how Shador is learning the material, what they're asking Shador to do versus what Shador is executing on a weekly basis. How much is he able to pick up week by week? How much do they trust him to pick up week by week? There's just no way I'm going to have any gauge without leaks of how they're feeling on that process. And that could change how they view this, right? It could be possible that Shador doesn't have the amazing stats, but Shador is doing so good at the process stuff in the building that they feel great about him and great enough that they feel no need to draft the quarterback. That could certainly happen. It could also happen the other way, where Shador is putting up solid numbers, it feels like, on the games, but something is wrong with the process in the building that makes them not trust him going forward and not want to move forward with him as their quarterback. What's going on in the building is probably the most important part of Shador's evaluation. Now, from all things I can tell from the outside looking in, and again, this is just my read on it, right? So take it with a huge grain of salt. But from what I can tell from the outside looking in is that they're pretty happy with him. If you speak Kevin Stefanski enough to be able to decode his trademark neutrality on almost everything that he says, you can tell that he's actually been pretty complimentary of that aspect of Shador's game, more so than Kevin allows himself to usually be. The same has been true of Tommy Rees, and the same has been true from what you could tell from just listening to Shador and how he talks about how things are going, right? So, there's reason to believe that they're pretty happy with where he is behind the scenes. Now, are they so thrilled with him that they're just not even going to think about quarterback this offseason? I don't know if we're there yet. But I think they're happy with the progress that they're making to the point to where, they're probably happier with where he is right now than where Dylan is. Like, I think they're probably a little disappointed with where Dylan was in the offense and where he did not progress to, given the amount of experience that he had in college. So there is that. Like, he has officially cleared the Dylan Gabriel hurdle. So y'all don't got to boo him no more, right? Y'all can leave Dylan Gabriel alone. Shador has cleared the hurdle, right? Dylan has come back from concussion protocol, and they have announced that Shador will start regardless of Dylan Gabriel's status. He has officially cleared the Dylan Gabriel hurdle, which some of us thought he would do a little bit earlier, but now he's cleared it. It's out the way. Dylan is in his rearview mirror. It would take a significant amount of regression from Shador Sanders to even have to have that conversation again about Dylan. And if we are having that conversation again about Dylan, well, that means that quarterback is most certainly a priority this offseason. But that's the thing for Shador, right? The question isn't, can he stop the Browns from drafting a quarterback? The reality is that the Browns are in position to take somebody that they have a top 5 grade on. The Browns are going to take that person that they have a top 5 grade on. Just the reality, right? If Mendoza, they have a top 5 grade on him and they can draft him with their draft pick, they're going to take Mendoza. If they have a top 5 grade on Ty Simpson and Simpson's there when they select him, they're going to select Ty Simpson. If they have a top 5 grade on Dante Moore, and they have the pick to select them, they're going to select them. There's really no controversy about it. If you feel strongly enough about these prospects in the draft that you would feel comfortable taking them in the top 5, there's not a damn thing stopping you from taking them in the top 5. Whether you think it's going to be financial, whether you think it's going to be because of all the stuff you would have to deal with, it's not going to stop them. They want to take a quarterback. If they believe in somebody in the top 5, they're going to take them in the top 5, right? We've seen this play out before, right? Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers. This happened where, Drew Brees was okay. They had some things dealing with Drew Brees, but then they said, let's go get Phillip Rivers when they got an early pick in the draft because they felt like Phillip Rivers could be better than Drew Brees. So it's going to happen, right? If they have the selection and they have the grade, it's going to happen. The question isn't what can Shador do to stop the Browns from taking the quarterback. The only thing he could do to stop the Browns from taking a quarterback is play the Browns out of draft position to take a quarterback, right? That means like winning 7 games or something like that to get the Browns completely out the range of the quarterback conversation. The real thing that Shador can control is how aggressive are the Browns going to be in pursuing a quarterback? Are they going to see quarterback as a huge need in the offseason, so much so that they're willing to trade to get somebody to start for the team next year? Or are they going to see quarterback as a nice to have? Hey, if we can land on a prospect that we really love, we'll take them. But if that's not the case, we're fine with Shador. I think that is the realistic best place you're going to get to in this conversation, right? And all in all, strap in. We're going to have this conversation about quarterback a lot this month. And quite frankly, even after the season, quarterback is going to be, just like last year, the number one driver of what the Browns are doing in the offseason, because that's where all the intrigue is. There is a section of fans who really just want the Browns to commit to Shador Sanders and hope that Shador does enough in 5 starts from now to be able to make that a reality. There are some fans who are over the Shador experience and want the Shador experience to be over no matter what. Let's be real about it. Some people don't like it. They don't care for it. They don't care for the extra attention. They don't care for the circus that surrounds him. And it's not Shador's fault. Again, Shador has handled his media extremely well. Shador has done everything you've wanted him to do. There's nothing Shador has done wrong here. And even the people who want to move on because of the conversations around Shador will even admit that to you. But some of those folks just want to take a quarterback. Right? And then you have people in between who just really want the Browns to solve quarterback. And maybe they're not going to be convinced of Shador in 6 or 7 starts. But they're also not looking at this draft class and seeing a Joe Burrow or Andrew Luck. So they don't know what to do. You know, maybe they want the Browns to load up on wide receiver and offensive line and think about quarterback later. Some of us, I'm more inclined to say, hey, look, we've watched the Browns try to load up on everything other than quarterback. And then when it's time to take quarterback, they don't have the ability to get the quarterback in the draft because they've won too many games. For me, it's like, hey, if you got the chance to get the guy, go get the guy. And then see what happens after that, right? It might be a Brock Purdy, Trey Lance situation. It might be a Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers situation. But the more guys that you believe in at the quarterback position you can have on the roster, the better the outcomes can be. Or at least you give yourself a better chance at a good outcome. It's going to be interesting. A lot's going to change opinion-wise over the next month. What we think now, November 30th, might not be what we think December 30th. And it's going to be interesting to track how people's opinions change based on what we're seeing on a week-to-week basis. Again, we're going to get to see Fernando Mendoza play against Ohio State. Depending on how he performs in that game, that's going to decide how a lot of people feel about him, especially in the state of Ohio. If Fernando Mendoza tears up Ohio State, get ready. There's going to be a lot of people who want to draft him. If he gets torn up by Ohio State, it's going to be a lot more people skeptical of him. Even if he has a good playoff run, there's going to be some folks who are going to be forever skeptical on him because they don't care about anything else you do but what you do against Ohio State. Ty Simpson going to get to play Georgia, maybe even play in the playoff. Be interesting to watch him. Same thing with Dante Moore. Both these guys, only one season. You're going to want to see him play as many tough opponents as possible. Now, Ty Simpson's a little different. He's played a ton of tough opponents this year. But Dante Moore, you really want to see him play against a lot of tough opponents this year. Did a really good job last week versus a top defense a really good defense in Washington. It's going to be interesting to see how the dialogue evolves over the next 4 weeks, because the foundation for every conversation we're going to have from the end of the season to the draft is really going to be determined in the month of December. Our foundation of what we think Shador is going to be based on his rookie year, we're going to build a lot of that up in December. Our foundation of what we think about these quarterbacks in this draft class, if these quarterbacks declare or not, a lot of that's going to be built up in December. So if you've been following this quarterback storyline for this team and wondering how is this team going to move on from Deshaun Watson, who's going to be the next guy to take the throne after Deshaun Watson? Well, this month of December is going to lay out the groundwork for that conversation. I'm excited for it. I'm understanding that the conversations are going to be very emotional, somewhat toxic. But I'm excited to see these guys, all of these guys, get opportunities and see what they do with these opportunities. Y'all let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.